call this is video number 4, which will be talking about complex book entries. Complex book entries are designed to help you understand and practice a variety of different skills, such as annotating, engaging in a source, analyzing, and practicing MLA format. And so complex books are going to help everybody, like researchers, identify key passages, because when you are researching, you are going to be sifting through a lot of research, a lot of information, and trying to figure out what quotes, what pieces of information are going to work best in your essay. This semester will require a lot of different research, so these are going to be helpful skills to think about that. So you will be assigned a reading. You'll have 10 of these complex book entries throughout the semester, and in the reading you will find at least 3 different quotes that are going to stand out to you in some way. They could spark your interest. So when you are maybe annotating something, try to find information, try and be conscious of what strategies might work for you through doing these complex book entries. So some people highlight, some people might print something off, or maybe even do this digitally, kind of write some notes on the side. Some people might compile a list of quotes in maybe a Word document or something similar. But whatever might work for you in these complex book entries might also be a strategy that works for you in finding relevant information in your formal essays, which are going to require you to find research that on your own. And so it's how you sift through that information. So you're going to find 3 quotes, at least 3 quotes that interest you in some way. And then for each quote, you're going to write at least 1 paragraph that expands and engages on that quote. If you do choose to summarize the quote, you should have 2 different paragraphs. So 1 paragraph summarizing, 1 paragraph engaging. So talking about what happened, I'm probably going to understand what the quote means, but I want to know why it matters to you. What did you choose this quote? Does it remind you of like another class that you're taking or another writing assignment that you've done? Does it remind you of like a YouTube video or a movie? Does it remind you of a conversation you had with somebody? How can you engage and go beyond this quote? And analyze it beyond what this actually says. And then you should also have a works cited citation and in-text citation. So for each quote, provide an in-text citation and a works cited citation. I have other MLA format videos that are going to help you. And so I'm going to also have an example complex book, and it will look a lot like this, and you'll also be able to find that on Blackboard. So this is an example. You also have a practice complex book entry that you'll be doing for week 1. And everything you'll be doing on week 1, there'll be a week 1 tab on Blackboard that you can find everything. For example, you'll find a quote here. This is the quote that the student chose. This is the in-text citation and their paragraph here. So I have not taken it. So the quote says the first step involves unlearning the rules of the core of the 5-paragraph essay. Again, if you hopefully have learned in English 101, you should not be writing 5-paragraph essays. Taking the first step may seem impossible. And so this is the quote that they chose. So it could be a sentence or 2, should be at least a full sentence. But a quote is just something that somebody else says that you are putting in quotation marks that they said. And then the paragraph here is what the student wrote. And so they wrote, I have not taken a writing class in 10 plus years, but immediately thought back to the 5-paragraph essay. Every paper I wrote in high school and 1 college writing class, I remember following this method. I began writing my narrative prior to reading this piece, and I realized I was unknowingly putting it in this format. As I read my narrative out loud, I noticed how stale it sounded. Needless to say, I started my essay over. And so that's them. We're kind of reflecting, thinking critically about their experiences in the past. You don't have to necessarily talk about your own experiences, but you should at least be analyzing, engaging with that in some way. And I'll let you read the other 2. And then this isn't for any reading you're doing this semester. This is just an example. And so this should be in double spaced. But essentially you'll have a quote, your paragraph, the second quote, the second paragraph, the third quote, the third paragraph, and then the in-text, and then the works cited page. Okay, and each quote should have a corresponding in-text citation. Okay, and you should be quoting from the assigned essay. So if you go back to the schedule for this semester, you'll be able to see like MLA format. So those are the videos you're watching. So for week 2, for example, you'll be seeing complex book entry number 1, essay number 1 example. And the essay number 1, the example essays that I have are student essays. You don't have to cite those because they're not published. There's just example essays that my previous students have written. But you will find, I'll have this on Blackboard, and I'll show you this in a second. Definitely I'll have the complex book entry, and then right below it I will have the file, so ideally you won't have to look that far. But you'll see this, you'll see what's due. So due Wednesday, September 29th, this is what's due. You'll read that essay. If it's not a student example, if it's not a student example, you'll have to cite it, works cite it, and in text, and MLA format, and that's where you'll be getting your information. So a lot of people ask the question, well, where am I getting my quotes? It's the assigned reading, okay? So if you, this is an older Blackboard. I actually, at this time, I was given this class about a week before the semester started. So I don't have access to Blackboard quite yet, but I do want to give you information showing what you're looking at. So this isn't from my class. This is from a previous English 102 I taught in the summer of 2020. It was also online. This is similar to what you're going to be looking at. So you'll have a complex book entries tab on the left-hand side. And each of your complex book entries, all 10 of them will be here. Okay, there'll be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. When I prepare your all Blackboards, you will also have the corresponding reading, the docx or PDF file, right below it. And so it'll just be easier to see. But you'll have the information, everything you need to know right here. So for example, they will have the due date. This isn't the due date for yours. Again, this is an older class. But I left them to behind. So you'll have the due date it's for and the reading. And again, you'll be able to see that right below. To submit it, you'll click on the assignment there, and you'll hit create thread. And in this text box here is where you will submit your information. For the formal essays, ideally you will upload a file, but for complex book entries, it's actually easier for me to grade everything faster if it's submitted into this text box. So again, I'll talk about this. I'll have another video about submitting essays specifically later on when it gets closer to that. But you should, for complex book entries specifically, since this video is about that, just copy, and if you are putting your information on like a Word document or a Google Docs, just copy and paste that. Don't upload a file. If you do, I'll still accept it, but it's just so much easier for me to read it and not have to download everything and then read it from there. It's just so much faster and easier. So please copy and paste it in this content box. And you should, label your title your subject like complex book entry number 1 or whichever one you're looking at. And that should be easier. And so eventually, when I'm able to prepare the entire Blackboard, this complex book entries tab is where you'll be able to see the assignment sheet that I just showed you, the example complex book entry, and all of the assignments with the due dates below. Okay, and you'll be able to see that. And so it should, should be able to be very self-explanatory. And so again, if you click on this here, if I can look at this, you will put everything here if you are writing it out. So you have like quote number 1, paragraph number 1, and then the same thing, quote number 2. I'm going to make this easier on myself. So you have like quote number 2, paragraph number 2, quote number 3, paragraph number 3, and then you'll have a works cited citation. I do have one difference here, and I want to talk to you real quick. It's at the bottom of the assignment sheet. You have the ability to submit your entries one of 3 ways. And so written out, which means doing exactly what I did here, or you could upload an audio file, which means you just be talking through your ideas, or record a video. You don't have to do that. It's completely optional. So if you think, oh, I don't like hearing my voice, everything's just awkward, do it like this. If you choose to upload an audio file or a YouTube video, I still would like you to provide your works cited citation and the 3 quotes so I can see you. But what you would be writing, what you'd be talking through would be what would normally be your paragraph. So thinking through your ideas. And so you'd say, the first quote, and then I'd have it, and then you would talk through that idea and kind of thinking through your thoughts. These are optional, just providing some more ways to kind of think through. These are only for the complex book entries. You should write out every other assignment, like the annotated bibliography and the formal essays and the portfolio. But the complex book entries, you do have options there. But if you don't like the idea of uploading an audio or a video file, by all means, just write it out in the content box, just like I see here. So please let me know if you do have any other questions, and I will be happy to help you.